Hi guys, I'm the Impaired Grappler and welcome to my podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Returning is Professor Dave Krstic for a special Rona online episode. We discuss masks, the martial side versus the art side of martial arts. We talk about sort of the history of martial arts and a bit of communism and Yugoslavian history, his family fleeing Yugoslavia. Talk about community, we talk about fear, building cortisol in the system and staying positive. We cover ego, laziness, staying healthy, both physical and mental, using breathing exercises, dealing with anxiety, and also keeping discipline in these times. So hope you guys enjoy, and we'll catch you on the other side. Us. All right, guys, welcome to the Impaired Grappler podcast. This is the new Corona edition.
100%.
Yes,
man.
masked up here in Victoria. Yes, we've got to maintain our social distancing and our masking. I saw this giant at the shops yesterday, going and trying to find some food when we were out searching for food with our masks on. I just saw a giant and these eyes. So I was like, who's that? Yeah, well, you walk into a shop and it looks like you wanna rob the joint. So at least it's staying safe. So how are you, man? Staying safe here?
Oh man, I'm good, bro. It's great to be on again. But let's I know we're making fun.
Well,
but
that's pretty hot.
I think it is something to make fun of. I think it is a little bit crazy. But yeah. So it's great to be on, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no worries.
It was good to see you, although it's like it was so weird. You know, you don't even recognize people. And the only reason I recognized you is because you looked right at me and you're wearing the leverage top, and I'm like, oh.
And I was like, Dave?
Yeah.
Maybe Dave, or just some bear coming to kill me.
I had my because that's my standard operating procedure. I got some of these bandana things, and I went into my local cafe, and Paolo, my guy there at Cafe C, he just walked in and he just did this. He just like threw his hands up and went,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna put a light on real quick because it looks a bit dark on my hand. So.
No worries.
All right, so there we go. It's a little bit lighter. Getting in a bit of a there we go.
That's better, out of the darkness, out of the shadows with your mask and the lights.
Out of the shadows.
Step into the light, my son.
It's a bit like that.
Yeah,
I wish we could.
Yeah.
I wish we could.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are.
There we go. That's nice.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that.
Oh, it's not.
All good. So what's up, bro?
It's all good. Oh, not much. Just Rona-ing her out, if that's even a word or a sentence. But yeah, just chillaxing.
Not much. It out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my COVID nails, so I haven't been doing jiu-jitsu. So I got these long self-defense nails, I call them.
Man, I've been disciplined the whole time. I keep my stuff locked down, drinking my bulletproof coffee here. I'm loving it.
Well, you got Saba to roll with and train with, so at least you're doing that.
100%.
Tell us how you're coping with the school, how your school's coping, and doing classes online and all that sort of stuff. With the kind of bit of the yo-yo, you can come back and start with the kids, and then locked us down for another 6 weeks, indefinite, whatever we do. So,
well, yeah, we're pretty much in the same boat as everybody else. I mean, it was basically, I think it was just cruel to even do it. Like, I mean, why open up? People were so frightened to come back anyway that our normal class sizes we weren't even approaching that. We weren't even in the ballpark. We weren't even in the same stadium. We weren't even in the same city. I mean, as what we normally would be doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, like it was like I was a couple of days in, and, you know, we're putting our stuff out there and saying, okay, come on guys, you know, we're good to go. We're good to go if you are. And we took the approach that we're not in a position to tell people what to do. If they're comfortable, they're comfortable. If they're not, they're not. And that's okay. Right. That's all good. And a lot of people weren't comfortable. And then they started doing all this, the northern suburbs stuff. And then they're chopping and changing and scaring the hell out of people. And it was basically like we shouldn't have even opened. So it was like, in that regard, it was pretty horrible. I mean, we got receptionists and we put them back on, and, you know, and then we had to say, oh, sorry, we got to stand you down again. And, you know, it's been pretty tough, but no different than any other academy. I mean, we're in exactly the same position as everybody else is. And we're doing the online stuff and everything, and that's being received well. But the longer it goes, and we looked at this in lockdown 1, the longer it goes, the less inclined people are there to do it, because I think it starts to get a little sad, because they're going, it's great to see you, but I miss you to a point where seeing you is actually sort of, it hurts to not be there. And that was sort of the vibe that a lot of my guys were conveying to me. It's like, yeah, I love being a part of it, but it's rough, and they were digging what we're doing, and we're back on that track, and it's great. But, you know, it's not ideal in that that's really not what jiu-jitsu is about. You know, jiu-jitsu is about being connection on the mat. It was about, yes, you come for the efficacy of jiu-jitsu for a lot of the time. Like, you're talking about self-defense, you're talking about technique that works. You come for the efficacy, but you stay because of the culture in the academy and the bonds that you build there with your friends, as you very well know. Yeah. And it's like, it's this idea that, you know, you aren't allowed, you know, the handcuffs are on, you're behind the glass, you can't do what you really want to do. And then you get this little glimmer, and then it's like, oh, no, take it away. And I think the emotional roller coaster a lot of people in Victoria have been on, it is just, I think it's cruel. I think just the amount of stress that people have about it's too much.
Well,
I think it's cool.
Well, that's the thing I was worried about from the start. It's like people didn't realize how fickle society is and civilization is. And it's like, wait, you need to understand what a lockdown is. It's all this other suffering that comes with it. It's not been accounted for. But there's like the politicians, the people in power, that they know all this suffering, but they don't communicate to us. So it's like they believe their intelligence outweighs the wisdom of the people.
I agree. I think that ultimately whatever the ultimate goal has never really been explained. I think just the general lack of clarity makes it a lot harder for people. And if you know, I went out to the supermarket earlier today, you know, I masked up, and everyone was doing the same thing. Everyone was doing the right thing. Even though we've been jerked around for months now, everyone was doing the right thing. Everyone was solid, you know, and it was a really an interesting thing to see. For the most part, I'd have to say the majority of people that I see in my daily, you know, life and over this last couple of months, everyone's been a really good soldier, man. Everyone's been such a great job. And that to me is beyond question. I mean, I'm seeing it with my own eyes. Everyone's doing it right.
Well, we should be focusing on that, like positives. Like they focus on like the 1% of the 1% of the extreme negative, and then it's like it's all over for the rest of us started doing the right thing, you know?
Well, I think it's also convenient, to cover up hey, get out of here. So there's my boy. I think it's a convenient situation to cover up the fact that there has been some really just horrible moments of incompetence, and lack of ownership of that.
That's the key, yeah. So politicians never take ownership these days. So,
even if I don't necessarily believe that anyone's sort of evil, but I think evil is committed by those that think they're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they believe they're doing the right thing and all that sort of stuff. And, it's convenient to not answer the obvious questions and all that sort of stuff. But bottom line, I'm seeing this as an opportunity, just for all of us, regardless of whether you're in the martial arts or not. This is an opportunity. Like this stuff, like, putting the mask on and everything. We've already accrued a significant body of evidence that is very relevant to Australia, in particular Victoria, as to, okay, we had it beat, the numbers went down, the curve was flat, blah, blah, blah. We opened up, there was a botch with this and a mess up with that, and then it went back up and all that sort of stuff. And that's if you're putting stock in numbers like it helps, but let's assume that
it's all true. And it's all...
Let's assume for the sake of argument that's the case. I mean, there's tons of stuff that we could go into, and we'd go down a rabbit hole for a long time on that.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is these are the numbers they're using to prop up their argument to do all this sort of stuff. It's like, okay, fine. Let's assume that it's all true. We had a beat without, right? And this is just pertaining to the mask. So this is now a really great opportunity for us to see what's really going on. And this is an opportunity for us to put the people that, by the way, we elected to the test. And this is also an opportunity for us to do something that I feel is actually very important. What was shocking, and we had a brief chat about it yesterday, the thing that was really full on was how quickly we all just gave it up. But, and you made a really great point. You said how quickly everyone turned on each other. And I was thinking about that last night. I was like on my way home, I was like, that's such a great point. I actually think we gave it up so quickly because we turned on each other so quickly. So this is a really great opportunity to redefine our terms and who's doing what, and to hold leadership to the level of account that we should have. Because ultimately we turn on each other, and you got people arguing amongst themselves and leaving the logic and the facts out of it. It's all very emotional, and it's understandable. It's a difficult time for everyone. It's understandable that is the case. It is very emotional. It's emotionally charged, but we're leaving the logic and the facts ignored to a large degree. And even so far as to accrue more actual usable data and actually do that well, which was that's a big deal. So I think that, I think there's a good opportunity for that.
Well, I see there's like opportunity, positives and negatives. Like, I think we're going into a new age, and it could be in a good way and a bad way. So, like, that's sort of what I see. I see there's almost like two programs running at the same time, depending on your mental state or your spiritual connection, or whatever your connection to God or the universe or nature, like all that sort of stuff. But yeah, look, did you see that video that Krstic put up was it today or yesterday? That Yugoslavia video?
I haven't been on social media all of today. We have a day in our house where just for at least one day a week, but it's usually just one day a week because we do rely a lot on social media for communicating with our community.
Yep.
But yeah, so one day a week we just don't look at it.
Okay.
You know, so from X time last night to tomorrow.
And you've been doing that since before the Rona?
You know what? For my own personal mental, let's just calm everything down. I think it was so important. It was actually Saba's idea. And it's so easy to see how bent out of shape we all get, you know, how easy it is to do that, even if you're not prone to that kind of behavior, you know. I'm just trying to find a better. Yeah, there we go. That's a little better. Is that better?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so it's something that we're doing, and it's like, you know, just stay off the social media thing. Just don't even look at it. I didn't see the video, but
I was just sort of talking about the history during the history, like growing up, you in the 80s, how Yugoslavia was a country, then all the wars happened and it got changed, and to Bosnia, and then the Serbia, and then the war in Croatia and all that sort of stuff. Now, because that video it was kind of like showing a lot of the communism, the communist infiltration and sort of takeover, and then separating people, making them turn on each other and separating to their groups. And it was sort of equating it to what's happening today. I just want to know sort of like what you see, sort of if you see any sort of resemblance with history as well. Because I see, like you said, like with the turning in, like just being so ready to ring up and dob on your neighbour. I see that's very similar to the rhetoric from 100 years ago.
Oh, of course. And I'm actually connected to that history, because my grandparents fled the former Yugoslavia because, you know, it started turning communist, and my grandfather's family, they had a lot of land and all that sort of stuff, and that was appropriated by the government and redistributed as per the communist doctrine. And he got word, because he was actually in the army at the time, and he got word that, hey man, they're going to put you away. So he grabbed my grandmother and, you know, hopped the border to Italy. That's where my dad was actually born. So look, no good can come of it. Every country that this has happened has ended in disaster. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but I'm not buying this Marxist business at all.
No.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And the problem is, it doesn't happen often enough in countries that people actually care about. Let's be real. Let's have the hard talk right now. Venezuela tried it. It didn't work out for them. Right? And that's very recent. That all fell apart. But who cares about Venezuela? Not very many people. Something atrocious happens in a place like Africa. Nobody cares.
Well, we probably should care about Venezuela.
We probably
resources. Like, if you're just thinking monetarily, like, of course you should care. But it's,
most people don't. They give their $20 to a crooked charity, and then they forget about it. So
yeah.
And then they feel they pay their guilty conscience to go away, and then it's fine. So it doesn't happen often enough in places that it shouldn't happen, kind of thing.
Well, do you think it's that? Or
because we don't learn the lesson.
Do you think it's that, or the media?
It's out of the loop. So people think, oh yeah, this is a great idea. You got people running around in Che Guevara t-shirts. The guy was a terrorist. He was a mass murderer. You know, you know. So it's like you got to do your research. You know, it's all crazy. I mean, it didn't work out for Cuba either. You know, and these are all recent times.
Oh yes,
but it's crazy, man. And I don't think we should be too quick to go down the whole doomsday. You know, this is all going to go sideways sort of thing. You know, but let's not forget the lessons of history. I mean,
well, that's
I don't
true.
think there are mistakes. I think there are lessons, and lessons will be repeated until the lesson is learned, and that's just life.
Well, yeah, I've always been sort of wondering about that time and like how could it happen and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, sort of recent times kind of opened you up to a new way of thinking. But
Right.
yeah. So like just talking about like, yeah, like you know, you've had like your history, and like almost every country has had their history and their troubles in the past. And like with regards to martial arts, you look at the history of the martial arts with, you know, you see that like a lot of the movies about the, you know, Master Lee, like the kung fu, like in Japan, teaching the kung fu being illegal, in China with the Japanese took over, and the atrocities back and forth.
Stalin threw the founder of Sambo into the gulags because Stalin had this idea that Sambo was only meant for the military, and the founder, I cannot remember his name to save my life, argued the toss. He said, no, this is for everybody. And Stalin threw him in jail. He died there. You know, I think he died there. I'm not quite sure on that, but he did go to the gulags. And yeah, man, it's crazy stuff. I mean, that doesn't affect us.
Well, the term martial art, that's an Americanized term, like the martial aspect, as far as I know, but I could be wrong. But so when do we embody the martial versus the art aspect? Because a lot of over the past 30 years, the art aspect has come leaps and bounds, like you've seen with everything that's happened in jiu-jitsu or martial arts over the years. But in terms of like like jiu-jitsu is the gentle arts. Yeah, in terms of like the martial aspect versus the art aspect.
Well, gentle being a relative term, you know.
Yes.
As any jiu-jitsu practitioner knows, gentle is sort of in the eye of the beholder kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The amount of finesse one can use or choose not to use is really up to the individual. As far as jiu-jitsu is concerned, I think jiu-jitsu is a system of combat for humans, but it is practiced by individuals. Now, as far as when do we embrace the martial over the art, I think when it becomes practicable to do so. Like, for example, I was just having this discussion earlier on today, you know, and we've got people turning on each other, and it's a little too tumultuous, but not in real life. Like, I went to the supermarket and everyone's fine. I mean, they're going about their daily business and everyone's cool, but you know, there's obviously there's certain elements of our society, social media and whatnot, that are capitalizing on this hype, and the hype isn't real. I mean, people are being cool with each other. Well, it's not a problem.
Well, there's the hype's not real, but the fear is real, and there are incidents. Like there was an incident a week ago just here near my house. Just like racial vilification, whatever, effing wogs, this and that. And it's like, wait a minute, you're in this shopping center. It's full of all the shop owners are like Asian, Italian, Greek, Persian,
as it has always been.
Yeah,
as it has always been. As far as like from when we grew up, you know, it's always been that way. But here's the thing. You know, people talk about like multiculturalism and things like that. I don't think we're as multicultural as we really believe, right? Me, I'm half and half. I'm a little bit mixed up. My kids are even more. I mean, which is awesome. But like back in the day, that wasn't the case. You sort of didn't fit in anywhere. I've got a surname that you can't spell, but I look white met bread, you know, first fleeter kind of thing. So it's like, where do you fit? And I think as opposed to a soup where everything's truly mixed up, we're a little bit more like a salad in that there are ingredients and they're put in the same bowl, but they're identified as their own thing. So the lettuce is the lettuce, the tomato is the tomato.
Yeah, and there's a different. You've got the enclaves of the different sections of the city and this and that,
right?
Whatever. You know, like there's.
And so it's like when people sort of turn against each other, it's the closest thing that people can do. It's the closest thing that people have at hand to identify how you're different from me and I'm different from that guy and whatever. But really, and this is one thing I think jiu-jitsu, the martial part of jiu-jitsu really teaches us, is that to any practitioner, anybody that's for real, everyone that's sort of living the jiu-jitsu life, being the philosophy is in the act, we're out there on the mat working on it, is that I don't care what color you are, I don't care where you come from, you're a bag of guts held up by a skeleton. And that skeleton is just a collection of levers. You know, and it doesn't matter where you come from, your social standing, your job, what you believe in as far as your spirituality and all that sort of stuff. Hey, your neck is just as chokeable as anybody else's. And on the mat, it's a meritocracy. You earn what you earn. There is no way around it. And I think that's why, as jiu-jitsu practitioners, I think we tend to be a little bit more calm around this sort of stuff. And it's like you can go to any mat. It doesn't matter where that mat exists. You can go to any mat and you're going to see an amazing amalgam of people from everywhere. Every, nationality, national heritage, any socioeconomic position. You got professionals with, tradespeople and they do business. They chat, they get along. They, hey man, I got a hookup for this, I need some of this. Does anybody know anybody? And it's a true community.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing. And I think the martial element makes that possible. It highlights it in no uncertain terms that we are all truly human beings. We are human beings, and and the philosophy is in the act. You are what you are. If you're going to be a cool dude, then you're cool. If you're not, then, maybe you don't fit in there, sort of thing,
Yeah, I think that'll make a great Bones t-shirt. Just the bag of guts held together by it all chokeable. That saying, just have it over there.
Hi.
Right. Back to Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's a leveler, and I think that's important to have.
Well, it's the ego dissolving. It's sort of these are times for that ego dissolving to go out in the community. The showing that you're not afraid. Having the non-fear to be contagious, because fear is very contagious. So it's like,
I agree with you, man. That's the real virus right now.
Yeah, that's it. So like, any advice for being more positive and like not buying into the fear?
Don't take it personally. People are, and I say that, and anyone can say that. Anyone can say that, but it is a discipline, and I think that's where the art part comes in. That our personal discipline, and it's easy to take things personally, particularly when people disagree with you. Now, you and I are friends, and we can disagree on anything, and we'll still be friends. It's cool. But now it's so hard line in that if you do not believe exactly as I believe, my little circle in which I exist, that's the truth as far as I can see it. And if you're outside of that, then you're the enemy. That's an emotional thing. That's not logical. That doesn't make sense. That's not anyone saying, hey, well, I never quite thought of it like that. I'm not on board 100%, but I'll roll it around and I'll see what's up. But, that's cool. You do what you do. You do you. And I think taking it personally as when someone does not believe as you believe or, think as you think, and you take it as a personal attack. Now, this is actually a thing. When people have a dissonance in that you can present someone with incontrovertible evidence that their belief system is just built on garbage on any given topic. Yeah. They will experience dissonance, meaning that they will fight to hang on to that belief as hard as they possibly can. And they consider it a personal attack. The same brain chemistry takes place when you are actually physically attacked. Right? So people are looking at this like it's a personal attack on them. And, that's a real problem. So not taking it personally, which is something I think we all struggle with. I'm no stranger to it. Someone did this. Oh man, what's that all about? And you take it personally. It's like, well, hang on, their actions aren't really based on you. They're doing what they're doing. They're doing them. But for us to take it personally, I think just not taking stuff personally and not assuming too much or anything at all if you can possibly help it.
Makes an ass out of you and me.
Life a little bit more livable.
Yeah.
It's like you can concentrate on being your best you. You don't have to worry about what's going on with, this, that, and whatever, and who says this and who did that and who's on your side. And
yeah, but it's you. If you do get angry at people for the way they feel, it's like, what if you feel like that one day? What if you change your mind? I've changed my mind and I believe completely different. And I'm arguing with someone who believes what I believed in the past. So, but like, should I want to be able to argue? Should I want to be able to change my beliefs in the future? So why should I be angry with someone else? Why shouldn't I allow them to explore their own beliefs? They have to find their way to the same truth as me in a different, but they've got to do it my way. No, it's I don't know if that makes sense, but
and even if they end up in a different destination, that's not for you to decide. It's not for me to decide what you think. It's not for you to decide what I think or whatever. It's like we might end up in the same destination. We might, but if we don't, it's still okay.
Yeah, it's not very likely to end up in the same, but yeah, for sure.
Right, but once again, I'm not taking it personally. I'm not defending what my position because you disagree with it. I'm not going to, and this is something that was really interesting. I think since the advent of social media, and we're seeing it really hardcore now, but this has been around for as long as, when Facebook showed up.
It's been before. I think this topic's it's actually all to, I've got a hypothesis. This is all to do with netiquette, and they haven't taught anyone what netiquette means. What is needed for having etiquette online. Like, you cannot convey tone. People are getting way more harsh. It's all anonymous, and it's got bots, and it's like, F you, boom, 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 boom. And
there's no accountability.
No accountability.
You say that in someone's face, they might punch you in the head.
Well, exactly. It's like, you're a Nazi scum. You're this is come here, and then let's talk. And netiquette, that's something I learned about at university 20 years ago, before social media. And it's like, this was a known thing that they were teaching. But like all these big companies that are working as the what do you call it, the public square, they're not actually sort of telling us how to use this technology. They're giving us a car without showing us how to use it.
And there's that, but and building on that, because there is no etiquette, and you can say pretty much whatever you want to say, whenever you want to say it, and it's freedom. I was like, okay, well, along with freedom has to come accountability. Yeah, you need to be held accountable for what you're saying and what you're doing. Now, if you can do that without any repercussions, then it's just going to get worse. But the thing that I think came out of that is people are defining themselves, their existence, by what they're against rather than what they are for. What do they believe in? It's like, no, I just disagree with that guy. And that's how I'm going to be. And it's a very sort of almost a militant stance based on nothing. It's like, I'm just going to disagree with that group of people over there because I I don't know why I don't like them. I just don't like them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of hypocrisy.
It's very divisive. It's if you put all those same people, I guarantee you get all those people having a flame war on that, Facebook or whatever, and they're flaming each other left and right, and they're saying some pretty ugly things. I hate ugly stuff. If you put those people in the same room, they would not speak to each other the same way.
They wouldn't speak to each other.
You know what? I think they would. I think they would speak to each other. If you left them there long enough, they would eventually speak to each other, but they'd be speaking. And if it degenerated into an argument, the possibility that escalates into a physical confrontation forces people to keep themselves in check, because contrary to what a lot of people will say about themselves, I'm not afraid to fight, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you are. All those tough guys, yeah, you too, right? People generally have gone through life for the last couple of million years and change attempting to avoid conflict.
Yeah, but people just fear the fear.
Right.
Yeah, that they fear telling people that they were fearful. It's like admitting the fear. It's like, fear's natural. Do you feel fearful now? Yes or no? Well, there's a lion right next to you. It's so stupid if you don't feel fearful.
Right, well, you gotta hold yourself together. You gotta. I don't even think it's fear. I think we've misconstrued self-preservation for fear, or adrenaline-based self-preservation.
Well, maybe we can say formerly known as fear.
Right. But like getting someone to get so anxious about what hasn't happened, that's fear. That's people inciting fear, and that's the real virus.
Yeah,
that's the real virus. That's the stuff that really messes anyone up. Let's consider this for a minute. Let's just say that what we're going through now had no name. We didn't have a name for it. We didn't really know it existed.
That'll be even more scary.
You know what? I don't think it would be, because what we would have witnessed is, oh man, I don't know what's going on, but it looks like a pretty bad flu season. And the net amount of fatalities and whatnot would have been business as usual. It's almost scripted. So
I think the media would have found something.
Well, I'm sure they would have, but dial the clock back to 2003 when SARS broke out. What did we hear? Oh, SARS exists, be careful out there. But that was pretty much the guts of it. That was it. And I think that, the media does have a lot to answer for. But having said that,
I think
if it's presented in business as usual terms, right? So something is presented, it's business as usual. This is what we're all expecting, and it happens. Then it's the populace does not get too upset. But then you've got something with a new name and we don't really know a lot about it. And then it's pumped up. It's like, well, anything is now catastrophic because it wasn't sort of according to plan. It wasn't business as usual, which is an interesting aspect to look at it. But it's just a viewpoint. I mean, any death is tragic, but it is also, something that we cannot avoid. It's part of the human condition. And if it happened like this or it happened like someone else, it's equally bad, especially for the people close to them, and you wouldn't be human if you didn't have your heart go out to those people. But at the same time, if this thing didn't have a name, how would it be written up? It would be more accepted by the populace. And I think it's actually pretty interesting. It's like you give something a sense of the unknown to it, and it's like it's scary, and we go back to being these scared little chimps, running around, the sky falling and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I guess there's power in the name, I guess. That's sort of what you're saying.
I think language is important.
Language, for sure. Like I've been learning a lot about language and etymology lately, and it's pretty full on. But
having said that, I'm no philosopher, theologian, virologist, doctor. I'm just a guy that likes to strangle people, and I don't get a chance to do that. So, your mind.
So, yeah, well, I haven't been able to train. Like, well, Jiu-Jitsu is my therapy, and actually prescribed from my exercise physiologist to make sure I do Jiu-Jitsu, and not being able to do it is pretty annoying. But anyway.
Well, staying healthy mentally and physically is one of the biggest things that I think we all do. So I'm taking this as an opportunity to address some of those areas that I feel that I've been letting slide. You know, doing that little bit extra because, well, now I can afford to put new protocols for my life in place because there's really no excuses now. What excuse do you have?
So the party's over. It's no longer the 90s. What, 3 a.m. at a club, drunk. No, the lights turn on.
No one's doing that anymore.
No way. But
just adding little practices and like we're talking about anxiety, about all this sort of stuff before. One of the things that I've been adding is practicing diaphragmatic breathing and calming the body down. Exercise mobility, some body weight strength work, stuff that I would be very tempted to neglect because I'm a little busy that day. I've got to get to here earlier or whatever. Well, now I don't have to do that.
So like the breathing exercise, that's to keep you out of breathing in the upper body, in your upper torso.
Yeah.
So
diaphragmatic breathing is huge because that's like panic.
It lowers the cortisol.
Cortisol, right? You might as well be having a bath in cortisol, stressing you out and losing your mind.
So basically, fear can be a chemical attack. It's pretty much terrorism. Fear is terrorism, basically. It just like causes your cortisol always stay in a state of fear. It's actually manifest physical.
We weren't designed to live that way. We weren't designed to live that way.
No.
And when you think of terrorism, why is, say, terrorism, the act of terrorism, so powerful? Because it could happen.
It could happen.
And what happens? We start thinking about
anyone.
Not manifest, right? It's not actually there, and we get so stressed out about it, and it's so terrifying. And it's horrible. It's a horrible thought. But the fact is, it hasn't happened. And then we start getting bent out of shape about that. So bringing it back and
into the lower
exercises and just bringing everything back to earth and not being so panicked and so intense. And anyone that's known me for any amount of time, I tend to be a little bit more to the more anxious end, I guess, a little bit more sort of hardline or whatever. And, it comes with age and having kids and stuff too, but, you sort of mellow out with time. And I think one of those things, anyone can do it. It takes a couple of minutes, just to get yourself sorted. And I think it really changes my day, just how I look at things and just not allowing them to overwhelm, and that's a huge thing. If you start feeling it, just sit quietly, turn the stimulus off, sit quietly in a closed room and just breathe for 5 minutes, not even 2 minutes. And your whole outlook on that stuff changes. It's totally different. In my experience, anyway, I'd recommend it to anybody.
Yeah. Or is there any other things that you do for boosting your immune system, like with the Gracie diet and all that stuff? Like the breathing, just mindfulness obviously is helpful in its way. Like we said, reduces the stress, which is beneficial. But is there anything that you've changed during the Rona that you've put in, or it's just you'd be more strict and just?
I think being more regimented actually does help. And I found myself, particularly in the first couple of weeks, there wasn't as much that I had to schedule out my day. So what would happen was I would be inherently lazy, right? And, I would take away from that. So I wasn't being the best version of me possible. That was being put on the back burner too much. And I really noticed it because I was just sitting down more and I would stiffen up and man, my back is sore and what are you doing? You know, your head down, you're flicking through your phone like you probably shouldn't be, and everybody knows that you shouldn't. You keep doing it and then everything stiffens up. And it was actually I got really sore and I said, okay, well, there's enough of this business. So, you know, being a bit more regimented, making sure that I'm actually exercising every day. And it doesn't have to be super intense. I'm actually very much into sort of this greasing the grooves kind of method. If you're into doing a bit of research on it, Pavel Tsatsouline is a big advocate of it, like perfecting a particular movement as a skill rather than just a workout. Like go through the motions and get sweaty and that's it. So, you know, I do my, you know, body weight stuff, you know, chin ups, push ups. You know, like today, I do every couple of days. I've implemented like what I call a gut check workout, which is like, you know, it's the workout, and I'm not sure if anyone else would that's listening would have this happen, but I know it happens to me, right? So I have this workout in my head. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go do that. And then right at the last minute, I'll change it because I'm scared of it. It's like, man, that seems really hard. That's going to be really tough. I'm not sure if I can do it. And then I'll talk myself out of it, or I'll modify it so I can achieve it. So it's like, no, every couple of days, you gotta have a gut check. You gotta set a task and you gotta do it. So like all the stuff that people hate doing, like, you know, burpees and all that sort of stuff, you get down, you know, just get down. And when you get through with it, because it's hard, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, right? It might take 10 minutes, but that's a rough 10 minutes. You know, it could take a half an hour. You might set yourself a thing that takes you an hour to get through or whatever, or you're anticipating it takes you 5 minutes, but it takes you 15. Who cares? As long as you get to the end of it, you're going to feel better because you did something that was actually challenging, you know? So they're my sort of my gut check workouts, you know, it's like, you know, time to get down. I did one the other day. It absolutely kicked my butt. It was like row 1,000 meters for like around a 2-minute 500 time. So, you know, so it's not like crazy fast, but you know, you're not dawdling. You're clipping along. So that's around the benchmark is a 2-minute 500 at that pace. So I do 1,000. And then I do some dead ball slams and then go back to 900 dead ball slams, 800 dead ball slams, all the way down to 0. And it's just simple, right? And it's just basically a bag, you know, that you just pick up, throw, pick up, you know. And that kicked my butt.
Yeah.
It was awesome, you know. But just things like that every couple of days, just to, you know, sort of keep your head in it. Like if you can't roll, do something that's a bit of a gut check. You know, I said something and challenge yourself a little bit. I think, you know, it could be Tabata based hill sprints or whatever. I hate running. Running sucks. But I did a workout the other day where I did like a hill sprint because I've got these hills around the area that are pretty. Yeah, there's a pretty decent grade to them. And, you know, you start at the bottom of the hill and you sprint up the hill for 20 seconds and then walk back down the hill for 10 and so on and so forth. And that's a hard 4 minutes, man, you know.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's giving you a beating, you know, but you feel good at the end of it because you achieved something that day. And that's it. Those little victories, they rack up, you know. And I've been monitoring stuff, like monitoring my weight, how many chin-ups and push-ups I'm doing, all that sort of stuff. So just keeping a track of it, which is something that, you know, if something's trackable, it's improvable. You can track it, you can improve it. So, you know, just little things like that, which adds a little regimentation to it to keep me occupied for that. And, yeah, that's the physical end of it. And the mental end is obviously the sense of achievement that comes with it, but also the fact that, okay, I've got something to do today. I'm gonna go after it. I've got to do this, 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 and this. Let's go out there and slay it. And, you get up early and you get out there and you do it and you feel better for doing it. But also just keeping my mind occupied with how I've been thinking a lot about jiu-jitsu. Just my understanding of jiu-jitsu as it applies to me and how I can, pass that on. I've managed to really come up with some really cool stuff, which I think is very cool. So, having a project, I've been reading a lot and all that sort of stuff too.
Well, it's like I pretty much think of it all as just a language. Basically, if you just take this time to learn a new language, whatever that is, whether it's a martial art, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's learning how to garden, whether it's learning a literal language or learning how to do whatever, anything, knitting, whatever you like. So it's like just always try to keep expanding the mind and the language.
But learning how to see positives and negatives, disciplining a mental discipline, like something I've been doing just for fun, and it is just because it's fun, is skateboarding. I've been playing around with that, and I've got a couple of boards and have just fun with that because it's just fun. It's something that takes your mind off stuff, and you have to be in the moment.
You should come down to the skate park near my joint.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We'll do skating, but socially distant.
That's a cool thing. Is like I'm not good at it. I don't really have to be, but you got to be in the moment. You got to be paying attention.
I love skating, but I'm hopeless.
If you don't,
if
you don't, you're gonna get it.
That's it.
And I've eaten shit a few times pretty badly actually, but
yeah. You're not gonna not fall.
Hey, you got to accept it. If you want to try this stuff, you got to roll with it.
All right, brother. All right. Well, I think that'll do. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Promote your school and all that. Not that.
Oh, good, man. Like when we were able to come back, I'm really looking forward to that, and as is any jiu-jitsu teacher, anybody that does that, I think we all owe our students such a big thank you, and I really don't have enough words for it. So I'm planning on getting together with guys like Phil and a few others around the place to be able to deliver some really great content to all those people that have really been hanging tough with us through this time. And, obviously, when we get the okay to do that, we're looking forward to going full steam ahead on that and really putting those good vibes out there, because I think that's one thing that we all need, good vibes.
Yeah, good vibes.
And it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter why you choose to train jiu-jitsu, how you choose to train jiu-jitsu, or with whom you choose to train jiu-jitsu. But a really good way to get some good vibes is, when all this is over, get to a mat. If you used to be on the mat and you weren't on it, and this is one of those times where you're thinking about it, get to it. Get to it. Do it. If this has taught us anything, it's like take the opportunities while you can, because those opportunities can be taken. That's a crazy thing. So, be positive in your proactive go after it. Nothing's guaranteed, and that's showed us. So let's get behind it. And I'm looking forward to doing that. And as I'm sure everyone else that would be involved is, and we just want to get back to the mat and have some fun. So it doesn't matter what mat you're on, man. Just get to it. Get to it.
That's it.
Stay in shape. Stay in shape, and then get to it.
That's awesome. Well, we can all learn a lot from these times. So hopefully everyone's learning something, and
that's the opportunity.
And staying positive and moving forward, because stagnation leads to suffering, as I've always said, and I've felt it during this time. So it's like we all feel it. So we've got to keep moving, keep our minds moving, our bodies moving.
It's so easy. It's so easy to let that happen. It's so easy to stay still. When you're staying still, you're really moving backwards. So, I'm with you on that one, man. Just it's hard, but reach out too. I would say, you you're a part of a jiu-jitsu community, or it could be anything. It doesn't really have to be the jiu-jitsu community. It could be any community, any gym community, anything where you normally would get together with people. Reach out, make sure your door's open. If someone wants to talk to you, it could be about anything, but that could be the thing that helps them sort of decompress a little bit. And I think it's a really good, it's a good call. It's a good idea. So, help each other out, and we need each other as much as possible.
Yeah, that's
and,
it.
Let's get behind each other.
Well, there's a lot of us. We're here to listen. If there's friends and family that we know that we can help them. All right.
Exactly. Just get behind each other, man. There's been so much conflict that's fueled by third parties that we don't even know. So let's
look after the elderly.
Look after yourself. When you look after yourself,
you can look after everyone.
Right? If you're looking after you, you're looking after somebody else.
That's it.
If you treat yourself like garbage, how can you treat yourself anybody else better? You can't.
Yeah, if you don't have self-respect, how can you respect someone else?
Man, so this is the opportunity. This is the time. Get on it.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah. It was a pleasure. Sorry about all the hiccups at the start, but
no biggie, man. No biggie. No biggie.
I'm not really new to this Zoom stuff, but yeah. I am new.
Zoom can be fickle. I haven't had much success with it personally, but this went pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's all right, this one-on-one version. But no worries. All right. Thanks for that, and we'll catch you again soon. All right.
Take care.
Cheers. Thanks.
Yes, bro.
No worries. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for watching and listening. I hope you guys enjoyed that and took something out of it. I know I did. So hit that like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Make sure you reach out in these times and to friends and family, or just comment on the videos, all that sort of stuff. So next episode's with Tom Barnett, and so I hope you guys are all well, and we'll catch you guys later. Oos.